Page 7. In the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest, to aid all may I become Buddha. In the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest, to aid all may I become Buddha. In the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest, to aid all may I become Buddha. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be parted from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from bias, attachment, and hatred. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata and knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer, the Shakra clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in the knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakra clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakra clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme among humans who are born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. With pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With a supreme science face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Just free like you, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all 3 ever devout homage. To all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms, and all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, the flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. From Tushita's hundreds of God's protector's heart, to tip of this fresh, pure, white heat, curved like cloud, O loathsome Drapa, Dharma's omniscient king, pray come to this place with your disciples, in space ahead, on lion throne, lotus and moon, venerable gurus, smile brightly with delight, pray stay hundreds of eons to spread doctrine as supreme merit, field for my mind of faith, your wisdom mine sees full range of knowables, your eloquent speech adorns fortunate ears, your beauteous body, famed glory outstanding, homage to you, worthwhile to think of, hear and see, present offerings of water, various flowers, fragrant incense, light perfume, and so on. Oceans of offerings set out and envisioned, offered up to you, supreme field of merit, non-virtue committed with body, speech, and mind, which I have heaped up since beginningless time, especially what has contradicted 3 vows, each I confess from my heart with strong regret. In time of strife you strove to learn and practice, shunned 8 mundane concerns, made life essence full. O protector from depths of our hearts, we rejoice in your powerful great deeds. Venerable gurus from love and wisdom, clouds densely massed in your Dharmakaya sky, pray loose a rain of vast profound Dharma on fields of disciples just as needed. May whatever virtue that I've here gathered bring benefit to all beings and doctrine, and may it make venerable loathsome Drapas essential teaching specially shine forever. Migme se wei ter chen chen raising, dream can pay one po jam kalyam, du pung malu jom se sam wei da, dan chen ke pei su kien song kapa, lo sam dra pei shabla so wate. O glorious and precious root guru, pray take seat of lotus on my crown, caring for me with your great kindness. Bestow attainments of body, speech, and mind. O glorious and precious root guru, pray take seat of lotus at my heart, caring for me with your great kindness. Bestow attainments of common and soothing.
Homage to the exalted three jewels. Thus have I heard at one time, the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajagir and Brocha Mountain, together with a great assembly of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of the countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination. At that very time, the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, was looking perfectly at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, perfectly looking at the emptiness of inherent existence of the five aggregates also. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said to the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, how should a child of the lineage train who wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, replied to the Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whichever son or daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look perfectly like this, subsequently looking perfectly and correctly at the emptiness of inherent existence of the five aggregates also. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are empty without characteristics. That is, they are not produced and do not cease. They have no defilement and no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visible form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object of touch, no mental phenomena. There is no eye element and so forth up to mind element, up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no cessation of ignorance and so forth up to no aging and death and no cessation of aging and death. Likewise, there is no suffering, no origin, no cessation, and no path. No exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely and abide in the perfection of wisdom, and because their minds have no obstructions, they have no fear. Passing utterly beyond error, they attain the final state beyond sorrow. All the Buddhas who reside in the three times, by relying upon the perfection of wisdom, become manifest and complete Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, equal to the unequaled mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering since it is not false, should be known as the truth. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Hayata, gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisoha. Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva, a great being, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and said to the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, well said, O child of the lineage, so it is. The profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced exactly as you have taught, and that Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, and the entire assembly, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, granddaughters, and others, were filled with admiration and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. In the holy supreme abode of the Dakinis, possessed of clairvoyance and miraculous power, unwaveringly caring for practitioners as your children, homage to the host of the three places Dakinis. Hayata, Om Gate Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisoha. Through the power of truth of the exalted three jewel speech, may all on the side of negativity such as wars and murky stuff, may they become non-existent, may they be pacified. All enemies, obstructors, and hindrances, Shanti Kuri Soha. The 80,000 types of obstructors pacified, freed from adverse, harmful conditions. May all be conducive and perfect auspiciousness, bring happiness and well-being here, right now. Sashi Koki Jushin Chodan Sonam La Janju Bardu Dagni Kyam Suchi Dagi Jono Gime Sonam Ki Rola Penche Sange Dropasho Chodan Sonam La Janju Bardu Dagni Kyam Suchi Dagi Jono Gime Sonam Ki Rola Penche Sange Dropasho Chodan Soki Chonam La Janju Bardu Dagni Kyasuchi Daki Chonan Kimpe Sonam Ki Drola Penchir Sange Dropasho.
Good evening, everyone. How are you today? So? Yes, the weather's very hot. The weather's very hot. It makes. Oh, you like? Good. Oh, good. Yeah, some people like hot, some people like cold. I don't know. Maybe cold's better. When it's cold, we can put many jackets. Very hot, if we put too much heat, air condition, they also make for look like us too, something. Then without air condition, everybody just falls asleep. And very cold, then we can just put many jackets. Anyway, this is not any place to complete comfortable place, because we are all samsara location. Therefore, but in here not that bad. In India, sometimes right now in Delhi, they can cook, really cook. They say you can put egg on the side. What do you call it? No. Yeah, on the road or on the sand. They say they cook. I think yesterday they said Delhi 120. It's very hard, right? Yeah, in Delhi is very hot. All the airs become hot. One time I went to, I think August, went to Delhi. It's very hot. We stay at the hotel, they have not air condition. We just take shower, go to the bathroom, come back, I can go back. It's very hot. But here hot not too long, but we have, house, place to walk, in the car, all, air condition. I think now you guys go this time, maybe Delhi, you guys really die. Because our bodies here very not used to. Therefore, very, very, very difficult. But here also, well, very hard. It's enough. It's enough. Anyway, it's wonderful. Still Sagadawa. I don't remember. 27? I need something. Still a couple more days. But anyway, it's good. You should. Oh, today is 28. Because Sunday is 25. Monday is 26. Yesterday Monday? Oh, good. Anyway, all of us, very good job. Yeah, he's very what's that, astrologer guy? Astrologer? Some people follow this very, very detailed. You know, if the Tibetan calendar is a good day, bad day, you know, all the time. Today is good something, that bad something. Tomorrow is good something, that bad something, you know. Usually I don't follow that. You know, if you really follow that, if you do something wrong day, something, then something bad happen, then we not comfortable. We say, oh, I shouldn't do that day. I knew this happened. Then you have more superstition coming. Usually I didn't follow much. But I have to also look. Some Tibetans call, well, what day today? Today's house. But I think Harvard was really good to follow the Tibetan calendar. Then, you know, Buddha said, everything is, everything is superstition. Every bad concept. I think there's a concept. Buddha said, everything is concept, not exist inherently. Everything is concept. You know. Oh, conceptualization. Okay, I'm giving up this one. Too long. Maybe I need to change my tongue. Maybe go to. Looks my tongue's too thick. Maybe I go to the hospital. Maybe operation to make no work. Really? Maybe that doesn't work. Anyway, therefore, it's usually you're really a superstition person. It's really happen. It's really happen. Usually my mother, she's really superstition. It's afternoon, we are not allowed to anything bring outside things inside our house. Afternoon. She said, if there's something happen wrong to the animals. She's very, very superstition. Even my father go to outside, he buys some new things. It's afternoon, he's not allowed to bring inside. He have to wear it next day. She's very superstition. Then really, if this true, something, something accident that happen, it really happens, something going wrong. Then if you don't have superstition, for example, in Tibet, we now allowed to the barbecue, like barbecue, or the cook meat on the fire. You can put on the pot, then not, like barbecue. If you do that, then animals, cow, D, no yak cheese, D is the female. Normal matters. Woman use the normal matter. Yeah, sort the cow's milk. It really happen. If you cook or meat on the stove. Also, if you cook the meat on the pot, sometimes the what we call spit on the fire. Yeah. Then there's some smell coming. Yes. That also make the source the animal's milk. Because you make the stove to dirty. Pollute. Therefore, if you really follow that, you think your mind have this strong superstition, it's really, really happen. Then here, we do barbecue every day, then maybe no problem. Also, maybe we don't have cows, right? But even if cows, maybe it doesn't matter, I don't know, it's maybe true. Yeah, we do also inside. Usually we say inside the house, our family stop. Therefore, it really depends our mind. Right? If mind thinks it's right, then it really happen. Your mind think I'm very cold, then your body feel cold. Your mind think I'm sick, you feel be sick. Your mind feel I feel tired, Mind, Buddha said, everything is the depends our mind. It's really, really, really true, right? Therefore, anyway, this test we think it feel very hard. Then it should be very become hard. Yeah, tapaji. Tende da kare. So. Kanji ta chu tamje tongbe ta tamse de. Ngone nenga yore sro.
So there is a point, to say that everything is merely imputed by mind.
아니, 따스로 강식 땡주 많이 비 충가해 봐 많이. 대실 동화 많이 비 충가해 봐 많이. 소요를 따스로 걸랑해.
So it is said that there isn't anything that isn't dependent rising, and there isn't anything that isn't empty.
봐. 다 된제 임바다 다데 그런 거 선로 땅으로 해 들어와. 아니, 때는 주와 연자 동화에 생각도 진짜 시작이 그랬어.
So we have to think about this point. The reason why it is empty is because it is because it is a dependent rising. Because it is dependent rising, therefore it is empty. Make sense?
It makes sense? Not make sense? 다 가르쳐 보라. 동화도 나타 지금 말하려고 했어. 다 지금 말했어.
So when we say empty here, it means not, something not, right?
배나 법보모 말했어. 법보모 동화 들라고 그랬어.
So we can say a girl is empty of boy, which means girl is not boy, right?
Okay. 대하우스 과학공도 왔어.
Make sense?
Make sense? You understand? 매서 동화서 나 지금 강바나로 동발세로 법바나 동발 되게 잘 말했어. 동방아.
매백계자다.
다
매백계자.
매백계자.
랑원도 매백계자.
랑원도 봤다. 가지 코랑기 마티비 가로 제전당 땐데 가나라지 마티비 추매와 인자 아니 가로 마티비 추매와 인자 다잖아 땐이 좀 말했어.
So when we say empty, so even in a even in a regular conversation, when we say empty, it means the absence of something, right? So when you say the house is empty, means there's nothing in the house, right? Nobody or no things in the house. Then you say it's house empty. So it shows the absence, the absence of the things. So here, what it shows is the absence of existing from its one side.
Are you okay? Maybe you need some ice. Are you okay? You need maybe some ice. Go someone. It's okay, your hand? It's okay? Okay, yeah. 어떻게 다 강간도 강가 동반이 세대 정도 강가 오요라고 왔어. 뒤거랑 안도 떼스시. 고안도 와라 오르서 봐.
So you're all very fond of emptiness, right?
Interested, right? Are you interested in emptiness? Yeah, interest. We all interest. 그래서 당아도 세단 다 동반이 콜런데 시 자타만을 봤다 마모요래 들어. 다 간주 자타데 아니 다 간제 랑군이 트바스 제단 제 아니 차시 강 맞대 맞지 트바시 이샤 대 매바인자 다 덴바트 동아레스 모두랍 그레스.
And so there are many different ways of explaining the emptiness. Different tradition or different schools of thought may explain emptiness in different ways. And so in general, when we talk about emptiness, it means not something, right? Not something, something not. So here we say something, we see something as existing from its one side, and then that we say is not existing. And so therefore we call that is empty.
당이 보이나 아니 다 지진할 때 비차그래. 이제 다 깨야 되는 용한 거래서.
So there is nothing that exists from its own side, by itself. So if it is, if it is a functioning thing, or impermanent thing or functioning thing, then it is necessary that it has to depend on causes and conditions, right?
배 차샤와이나 당가도 당보 진제 된줄 라파데 거자. 근데 정말 봐도 그래서.
So that that interdependence, the depending on cause and condition, is a gross interdependence, and because that's easier to understand. And then once we understand that, then we can apply it to the subtler interdependence.
당당간도 추 가리지 나와야나. 남도 삼슬라 다 랑은들 나 되고 그래서 남도 랑은들 나 되고
So to our view or to our appearance, whatever appeared to us appears as existing from its own side.
남도 나나지 접거래가도 삼아 그래서.
And then just as it appears to us, that's how it exists, that's what we think.
안에 동반이 또 집에 가다도 나 대마트와 나가다이나 나나지 접거 말이 코도 삼토고 그래서.
So people who have realized emptiness, to them, things will appear as existing from its own side, but they will not cling to the thing, or they will not think that it is existing from its own side.
다들 나다로 가다 배나가도 지만캔서 여러와서 지만캔서지. 지만캔다 아니 드니 지메 때모 땅이니라 딱 빼셔는 가도 셔요 그래서.
So that is applied, to the analogy, like the magician and spectators.
그러와. 근데다 매지시다 지만캔 코나라 피게 지메 가는 나가나 나한테 나와마 또 걸 셴바요 말해서 그러나 그 나한테 많이 받고 또 하고 여러와서 나 코나나 그나 나한테 많이 받고 또 그래서.
So, for example, when a magician turns a piece of wood into a horse, to the magician also that appears as a horse. But then in his mind, he knows it's not a horse. It's something that he turned it, into a horse. He created it into a horse, but it's not real horse. But to him, it does appear as a horse. But in his mind, he knows that it's not horse. So have you had any experience with the magician here?
Do you have
Is there shows that you can watch?
You can watch. The guy make just maybe some rocks, some things. They make some special things, right? tenzu ngazu ta khu nga ro wen chi ka chi she na chi ngazu migla ta tap sha ko te na ngazu te na yo re.
And so it is said that like when they do a magician, they do that turn into like a piece of paper into a flower, right? So to him it does appear as a flower, but he knows that it's not flower. It's just he tricked, right? He they call it, there's a spell that the magicians apply it into the eyes of the spectators. The spell that apply that into the eyes of the spectators, which makes them to see. So anybody there who is present there at that time will be spelled to see such and such things. So that's including himself also, right? So that's why when he creates something, he also sees that thing as a flower or whatever he has created. And so everybody who's there, because their eyes is applied with that magician spell, therefore he or she sees the things as such and such. And so to us, things appear as existing from their own side, and that's how it appears to us. And then that's what we think also is existing from its own side.
아니 다 제전다 차시 가야 맞다면 트바이나 다 데바 트바서 다 tum도 그래서.
So if it exists by itself, without depending on cause and condition or parts, on the nominations and so forth, then you can say it does exist from its own side.
근데 이제 당 안돌라 이 가리 나와이나 제텔라 템바임바 차시라 테네 템바임바 아니 근데 드레지 나가면도 왔다 피기칭도 왔다 다가래 something 용도 왔어.
So when things appear to us, we don't think of that thing as something that exists by depending on cause and condition or parts and particles or on levels or the name and so forth. We don't think like that. So to us, when the things appear to us, we just think, oh, it exists from its own side, without depending on those things.
그봐 향가도 때티 가시네 차실라 땡 말 지실라 땡 말이 세워도 나고 말 간다 그런 어다 그게 나나 저거도 되는다고 싶다 더가나 레라고 삼거스러워요.
So that's how it appears to us, and then we think that, oh, that's how it is, that's how it really is, that's how it really exists. That's what we think. Or we don't have to think that, oh, that doesn't exist. We don't have to think that, oh, that exists without depending on cause and condition. We don't have to think that, oh, that exists without depending on parts and particles. We don't have to think like that. Just by thinking that it exists just as the way it appears to us is where we're thinking that it exists from its own side.
그봐 텐데레 때네 들이 나와들 때네 다 내가 시당 공조 맞아도 깨고 그러봐 들이 예들 때네.
And so because of that appearance, right? Because of that appearance, so things exist from its one side, as beautiful, as ugly, as offensive, as abusive, and so forth. By appearing as that, then we develop all these, afflictive emotions, and attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth.
배차샤반은 나도 미지카나 공조군이 산에다 파티 못 떨어지는 트렌드로 잡아이나 다 뒤걸은 뭐든 건데 전에 담아도 나게 그러더라고.
And so, for example, like when we are angry with somebody, and fighting, or arguing, with that person, and then the person with whom we are angry, that person really appears as acting from his own side.
But not email, because we don't see. If you fight email, we don't see. We call phone, maybe we don't see. But see the person's face. That time we are really, appears for exist their own side.
셰벌은 남겨라.
시발 나나게로스.
네, 셰벌은 남겨라. 가사네. 미셸은 남겨야 말다.
다 미시 올라면 다 가로 다 가네.
셰벌은 남겨.
다 그런 게 나와. 간지 다 미시 라야 말아요. 미디고 미시 수자 말아. 다 간지 강다들 남겨서 강다들. 말이야 미시 라면 거 같다.
맞아 이메일 쳐도네.
그러. 다 그거 이치도.
이메일 쳐도네. 거다 미삼로 호라. 미삼로 호고서 다 미코 가상도 셰벌라.
그래 라쳐.
이실라 남겨라.
파지야 더 랍쳐서 야. 그래가지고 이메일 찍고 갈다 전에 잡는다 파지 텔레가서 이제 나대고 들어와. 단데 문에 트레이닝에 들어오는 갈한테 다 신nem보지 랍고도 지기로 왔어. 더 나가서 왔어.
So we when we send email, of course the person or when we send an email trying to say bad words to that person, scold or answer in a negative way to that person, when we write something like that with an angry thought towards that person, of course that person is not in front of you, but to your mind the person does appear to you, right? To your mind, not to your eye consciousness, but to your mental consciousness that person appears. And then when you're thinking about that person, you're thinking about that person as existing from his own side.
당가도 저바데 다 된데자 안에 동반이에스. 여러분 다 덴바트 동와서 그런感じ 강사가 담에데 주지 담에 등도 니라고 그래서 안에 강사데 나와다 마트 받으라 강사 담에스 안에 대다 강사데 그 가로다 롱셰자 안에 얘도서 나와다 마트 받에 주지 담에스 안에 그런 그래서
봉봉하세요.
봉봉 어디 봉봉하려서
So then when you talk about the selflessness, right? So we'll talk about the selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena. And so the being a selfless, is the same. Empty of existence from its own side, right? Not existing, without dependent cause and condition, parts and so forth, right? So that part is the same. So only the object is different. So when you think of a person, existing from its own side, that's a not exist from its own side, then that's a selfless person, right? And when you think of the phenomena, like so here in the phenomena is referring to the aggregates, right? The 5 aggregates and so forth. So the objects that is consumed or enjoyed by the person, by the people. So that is a phenomena, and so that would be thinking of that, or let's say of aggregate. So thinking of aggregate as not as from its one side is the selflessness of phenomena.
Okay, you guys will understand or difficult? I do that. Senior ones, they heard many times. I understand that, but you guys okay? Something going here or just something coming inside your mind? There 다 가서 디바트 가르페도 월스타 가서 다도 마저 동반에서 또는 가르페도 월스 그 데마트는 말 가르 내가 요새 가서 디바트 나더라.
So usually, some people might think that, right? What is the so what if it is empty, right? We might say, so what if it's empty?
Yeah.
Why do you have to care about knowing it?
Yeah, what caring? For what's our business if they exist on side or not? What do you say?
You're not touched, you don't get angry, because it doesn't exist from its own side, so there's no, I don't know, me in my mind that conquers attachment.
Yeah, like that. Then the gandu na that triple na that is someone tell it in the charge don't come to change it.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it is empty, right? It doesn't matter it's empty. But what matters is to our mind, right? Because even though it is empty of existing from its own side, but to our mind it appears as existing from its own side, right? And because of that, then there comes the attachment, anger, and so forth in our mind. And because of that, then we create all this negative action, and because of that, we experience the suffering as a result. So therefore, it matters to us. It doesn't matter what the things are, but it matters to us, right?
Yes.
That is not saying that my concept of suffering does not exist. I'm fabricating that suffering, or am I truly suffering?
소속이 동아대.
네. 다 뭐란 게 동알되라. 동알데 뭐라 샘바 소저래 해서. 뭐라 동알데 뭐라 샘바 소저래 해서라. 뭐 동알데 뭐네 말했어. 덴바 말했어라. 좀 말했어. 알아?
소속 동아대 소속 샘바 소조래. 소속 때 샘바가 소매나 동아대가 제가만 용 말했어. 제가도 소속 소조로 제가 다 끼야는 용 그래서 끼야는.
Yeah, so it depends, on your mind. The suffering depends on your mind, and also it depends on cause and conditions, right? The conditions, that give rise to your mind. So if your mind doesn't think of it as a suffering, then you'll experience only half of the suffering. So the mind, the suffering that's created from the part of the mind, is not experienced. So you'll be experiencing only suffering that's created by the condition.
And Canada was okay, very okay. I can explain a lot. Canada was not bad. I don't want to very bad examples. I try to find. Pechashana. Carlo. Pechado.
Like you feel pain. If you cut your hand, that's suffering. That's pain.
Pechashana. That pechana. General Michigan singing about what she loves in us. Michigan singing about what she loves in us.
For example, if somebody says something bad to you, right?
Then they sing about the Cherangi lava gentleness and the Cherangi Semlaya. Who Kachin lava race. Kachin lava, Nala government, Nati ne Chosa Maris and Suzu Semlaya. They never chimber of Sina and the Suzu Semba Tamachiwa, Mayo Grace.
So if somebody says something, right, you can take it personal, or you can just ignore it, right? So if you take it personal, this is, oh, why is he saying this to me? What did I do to him? Well, is that really bad? Am I really like that? Like that. If you take it personal, to yourself, then suffering becomes big, right? So it's that suffering is created by your mind.
Karna Jeno Pajovic Lavarda, Kotaji England, Nangas Mativena, Suzu Sema Tatkan at Maris.
So on the other hand, if you ignore it, it doesn't matter. Just forget about it. If you don't accept it, right? It goes back to the person. You don't get it anything.
But can I say I don't accept it because I know it's empty? It's an empty experience.
강아디 다디 동아디 소소다 ngal kharchin den chon so da kelen chebara ta ngal kharchin mo dikja den lagi oras ngal kharchin ngal one khor den na samne chik semde na jora ta te khora ta dungal kelen chi gora kasa ta de kyon de kelen chi gora ta de kelen ja kyon de kelen chene ja chal ngo ta kyon de daga lo tang sha ba na kasa ke mares ko tong bare la samna digre bes
Temar, te tomba some drinking mares. Te 내가 저 용마스 다 코랑 람게 되어 니제 다 녀모비 샤완데 제네 마시 메리도 오게 돼 라파레 사마이나 창데 총도 그랬어 저 동발 사마데 코데 총도 도 말스.
So you can either just ignore it, you just say, oh, doesn't matter, like that, That's it. Not because it is empty. You don't have to think that because it's, of course, if you think, oh, because it's empty, so therefore I'm going to ignore it. If you think like that, then in some way it may help, but the real benefit would be if you can think that instead of having anger towards the person, have a compassion towards the person, and have an understanding towards and sympathy towards the person. Or this person is saying because the person is being under the control of the delusion, out of arrogance or out of ignorance and out of jealousy and so forth. This person is saying that, and he's not really saying it, and he's controlled by the delusions to make him say these things like that. If you think like that, then that would be better.
Okay. Okay. Now.
Oh, okay. So,
No.
so the question is, so what?
Why do we care about emptiness? If we understand that reality, emptiness of reality, then we can create virtue. We can create positive karma. And we don't have to follow all of the negative stuff that surrounds us because it's not real.
So if you don't understand emptiness, you will not be able to create those.
We can't create the positive karma
You can't create?
and virtue.
You're saying you can't create? Or?
No, no. We understand that we have that choice to do that if we understand emptiness.
Oh, okay. 동반이 된 것도 동반이나 가려랬어. 라 게지티라 어디라 딜랜드라서 동반 하고 와는 되는 거죠. 겨사요랬어. 띠뽀빠요랬어. 다들 띠 담가자요랬어 그렇다.
Yeah, you can say that also. Real is 가르나 단다 가르나 딱 간주치 노르데에서 가져다 노르데 간주치 노르네 간주데 대반도 그러면 돼 둥아르다 둥아 제만cho 용되는데 왔어. 특히 노르데에서.
So what we want to have is happiness, and what we don't want is suffering. But instead of having happiness, we always undergo sufferings. So there's something going wrong somewhere, right? And because of that, we're not achieving what we want, and instead achieving what we don't want.
텐데다 다 텐디 대화도 둥아세때 제다 ken나는 용거였어.
So that kind of happiness and suffering, the one that we want and one that we don't want, comes from cause and conditions.
텐데게 젠 담란 테스그랬다. 제트 소소고 사고 거지. 소소 제치베 강사 사대 그랬어.
So the conditions, of course, is the at that time, that makes you to go through that experience. Anything that makes you go through that experience at that time is the condition. The real cause, is created by you in the past. A person of the same continuum. Your past person of the same continuum.
다티 제사야 된가서 시즌다 하 고진의 제상에 쓰지요 말들어. 시즌 하 고진의 쌈 주는 상이요 말들어.
And of course, we don't create that cause intentionally, right? Yeah.
얘나야 무시 몸비 왕기 땅가서 디 양원의 전에 저 사대 그랬어.
And so how we create those causes is without knowing it, right? Out of ignorance.
근데 이제 무시 몸비 왕가 사는데 땅가서 지 신경 말지 신경면서 다티 시워체 그랬어.
So since we're doing it out of ignorance, right, and because of not knowing, right, out of not knowing, so we have to make it known now, right? We have to know how to not create the cause. We create the cause of the suffering without knowing, so now we have to know how to not create the cause of the suffering.
근데 다 되게 물어도 아니 가서 다 말이 봐서 되랬어.
And so not knowing, right, which is ignorance, right? Not knowing is ignorance. It's the ignorance that is the cause of all this suffering.
다 되게 갑자기 리바이시 있어요. 다 가로. 다 신기서 다 리바이시 가로. 네네 사공이로 들어.
뭐분에서 몸에 말해 보더라.
무분에서 오늘 리길로 다 링일로도 거고 들어.
And that's the ignorance, right? So here, it's not just not knowing, but not knowing the reality. You know? Not knowing what is real. Because of not knowing that, then we end up creating all these causes for suffering. Right? So we have to eliminate that ignorance. Not just any kind of ignorance, but ignorance to the reality. Right? And so in order to eliminate that, then you have to develop the wisdom that knows the reality. Right? So not just knowing, but knowing the reality. Yeah? So you have to have this mind which is directly contradicting with the ignorant mind, with that ignorant mind which is ignorance to the reality. So you need the mind that is directly contradicting to that, yet is observing to the same object.
Okay, now you.
Okay, so if we know what are the causes of virtue, and we are able to keep creating virtuous actions, does that continue? Does that work towards eliminating the ignorance?
Yeah. Pengeres. Kewasawana made sonum chimochandro. Sonum chimboyana and sonum debi made. Sonum chimbosana and tango toning as the aging in Nelo Musu Tobe low Cardota. Jobotiel Pentos, made sonum chimochan.
Well, that can help for you to, eliminate that ignorance, right? Can help, but it will not directly eliminate the ignorance. In order to do that, you have to have the wisdom realizing emptiness directly. So only with that you can eliminate the ignorance completely. So with just any kind of virtue, like if you keep practicing generosity, that's always virtue. But no matter how much you practice, keep on press that, you will never eliminate that ignorance.
Penanganzo she tawina. She tawa lead on that in look at Chasma Yawachina. She the Yawa Tamashina. No Jagmar was could ditching Shimbakan Sanaya. The Yawa Tamashina. This on the words.
So you have to know exactly, how to eliminate that and what eliminates that, right? And so just like, when you are growing something, you plant something and you grow something, you have to know exactly how to do that. If you don't know that, then you will not be able to grow anything.
Teneza Ganzo San Jabala Tabda Sherabni, Tango Trad Muruva Yamacheko was.
And so, and especially to become a Buddha, you must have both method and wisdom.
Ta Tab said, and if Sonam would so race, Jambato, Trum, Gavasavadura, Sonam would so Tapsela, Shanchi was him go and Hijagomadula Taps.
And so the method, aspect of the practice is the bodhicitta, loving kindness, compassion, all those things.
And Sharp said that Nesu Shinjo Malaba, Nunes of Tongilota, Sharps.
And then the wisdom, is the wisdom realizing emptiness directly. Right? Wisdom realizing the reality, things as they are.
Tenza, and Pana, Pado Maxono, Pugitiolda, Pada Manigan Carita, Zetangur was, or the Chipares.
So it is like, parents, so you need to have, the substance from the both parents, for the child, to be born, right? You need, the sperm and the egg, from the both, So if one of them is missing, then you cannot have a child.
Oh, that Chibaro, Manzo Caro, Pada Machik the Sherabless. Pan Sherap, Mantalan Mantalan, or that's your time, not to Roman. Can you Pamani Pesha, the Tabla Sherabni?
You said that that's only the Sheralco.
Oh, that's
it. So like, in order to have the child of enlightenment or Buddhahood, you need to have the parents, and the both, the bodhicitta and the emptiness. So the wisdom realizing emptiness is like the mother, right? So like the Professional Wisdom Sutra, we call it mother, because that gave birth, to the Buddha, and so that's called a mother. And then the father is the great compassion or bodhicitta. So with these two, then you can have the child, of Buddhahood.
Then the Sonango so Gawaya Bosawina, Sonango Mambosai, Sonango Mambosana, and then Magivas and the mat, chon chon.
And so, of course, if you create a virtue, then you are creating merit. More merit you have, more successful you will be in anything you do. Right? And so, with that, then if you practice or meditate on emptiness and whatever, that will become more successful. Without that, if you try so much, you will not be very successful.
Okay, you understand a little bit? It's a lot of complicated. It is complicated. It's very complicated. That is the time. Nanga chili karna ngadu. Ane chutamju tongares. Says some member lago mars. Thing koya mars. Me yo mars lago mars. Dameres. Tonga yo mars lago mars.
And so, whenever we say it is empty, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? You have to understand that. As long as as soon as you hear word empty, you have to understand doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
There is a 10 inch yenza tongares. Matemba yo mars. Matemba mena tongares lago.
So, because it exists by depending on cause and condition, parts and so forth, therefore it is empty. Therefore it is empty. So empty in here means empty of existing from its own side, right? Because it depends on that, therefore it doesn't exist from its own side.
Rana power said Polateni power the metal. Pomena metal power like mars. Kochanda jena lo jai maina.
So the father, depends on a son or child, right? A daughter, son or daughter, child. And so if you have a child, then you become a father. A male becomes father, female becomes mother. Right? So without that, you can't become father or mother, right? Without a child.
Right? Usually we don't think that. You guys think that because father, because son, we have father. We don't think that. He said, his father. He said his father. His son's father. But the real thinking, then the part two in the and the driver you want to tell a Jews. And
so what do you think of the cause? The cause is exists from its own side? Huh? No, why?
So you can break it down into more causes and conditions. Because if you say the father and mother are the cause of the child, well, now you can break the father and mother down to...
Why is cause not exist from its own side?
Depends on the effect.
Depends on the effect. Depends on the effect, right? So because there is the effect, therefore it can be called cause. Right? Without the effect, you can't call it cause.
And condition too.
That's correct. Now you guys got to understand a little bit. Tachudoji Shadra. Jeda, Chendo, Chashekana Matan Chuchi Shire Athareves.
So is there anything we can point and say it exists from its own side? Something that doesn't depend on cause, condition, parts, name, and so forth.
Buddha.
Is there anything?
Buddha.
Buddha. Okay. So Buddha exists from his side.
Nature.
So Buddha exists from his own side. So somebody became Buddha just like that, without depending on cause and condition.
No, Buddha nature.
Buddha nature. So Buddha nature doesn't depend on cause and condition.
It does. It does. Yeah. It can't exist without the condition.
Buddha nature, ora.
Yeah.
Sangye
Good. Now you guys will understand that. That something makes sense. Otherwise, very hard to say emptiness or something. We say, what they talk about? But we're not talking about something not existed. Just
So it's not something that somebody just said it, right? Right? It really makes sense. If we really think about it, then it really makes sense because there isn't anything that we can point and say that exists from its own side. So this cup, the lid is made of like a clay or whatever, right? So it depends. It looks like solid by itself, right? But how did it come into existence? Right? It had to depend on so many things, right? And the substantial cause. When you trace it down, you can down to the particles, right? Yeah. So it all depends on all these things, right?
다 조조 찬은 마바 마천 세리라야 고용이냐로 왔어. 세리 비기 딱 되게 딱 가로 더 충분히 가는 건데 그래서.
So most of you have understanding about science, right? So when you talk about the particle, what is the smallest particle? Atom or particles? Huh?
아?
So even the atom can be break down, right? 근데 제주 제일 많습니다.
We still have to go. Yeah. 다 대고랑 가서 나비 가서 시탄하면 못 버렸어. 다또 춘다 두 받을래야. 다들 중화되는 대 샤도 로 높아 샤도 샤 말았어. 샤 요나 아니 디 샤대가 로 두고 두 말았어. 다때 마부 지야서.
So we call it a directionless particle. So this one, you can say this is front, this is back, this is, So when you break it down, it becomes this small. You can still say, it's a east, west, north, south. Like you can still say that, right? And then you make it smaller, and smaller and smaller. When you come to the atom, so can you point, to the east of that atom? The east side and the north side, west side. You can still at right point, right? And then you break it down. Still, even that atom, you break it down to to a smaller part, and then again you again point to the direction. And so when you reach to the point where you cannot point, say this is the east, this is the west, then that's the smallest one.
Right? There was a lot of debates. Some schools they believe, that that small one cannot touch. They can, there's something. If they touch, if not really small one. If you are not touch or not small one, because there's some between there. Like there are a lot of debates, even the Buddhism has also. But today, by the kanji jimana kanji, ta chashi mumbo you tsobala teni ta dodo to trip was.
So anyway, so all these like partless particles, right? So all these directionless particles, and then you put them all together, and then that's how a big and a huge thing comes into existence, even up to like mountains and so forth, right? So they all depends on those particles.
딱 간조 때문에 저런 몸보 때문에 요도 사고된 간조 남겨 말씀. 간조 난다 다 피게 돼야. 그런 다래. 근데 까브레서 간조 좀 까브라 제친도 간조 까브레서 지 코나 때가도 주반 남겨 와서.
So to us, when it appears to us, it appears as solid by itself, right? We don't think of existing by depending on all these parts and particles. We don't think of that. We think of even like huge mountain. When it appears to us, it appears as solid by itself to us. We don't think of all these different parts, rocks, the muds, sands, and all these things. We don't think of that, right?
근데 남과 파주 수주나 남과 파주대 수주라 되는 남과 파주 샤워 말이지. 수주면 파주 샤야 말이.
So the side of the riverbank or side of the road, right? So this side and that side this side can't be there without that side, right? So this side is there because of that side.
Okay. What do you think, you guys? Why are you talking about this? What's the matter? This is with how because 그래서 당연도 동반에서 남에서 대 간지지는 용거요. 디콜랑
So this is how we have to think or train our mind to think that things do not exist from their side.
나도 진짜지만 동반이래다. 내가 저거 말다. 저런 너나마다 데려다 가도 그거 다 가지고 왕역 괜찮아 그러왔어.
So if you just say, it is empty, it doesn't exist from its own side, it doesn't exist truly, so you just have to accept that. If you are told like that, then it will be like controlling, right? So you're being forced to think like that. That's not good. That's not how you have to, come to believe that how things do not exist from their own side truly, like they appear to us.
데려다 가서 남에 주셔야 돼. 아니다. 쇼진이 세릭. 쇼니니 다 샘지주당하게 답시 그래서.
So therefore, in Buddhism, there's those both parts, right? The science part, and there's the part to train your mind.
가래서만나 아주 당연히 한 아주 간 돼야게 대화도 등아 마모지 아주 샘고 소샤 그랬어. 깨때도 채웠지. 강에는 오잖아. 소주 샘기 따때 마모야 소샤 그랬어.
So just like I said earlier, so everything we experience, the sufferings and happiness, comes from our mind. So it's all created by our mind.
Pena nganzu subo de jasha dunchu se chu re de chu. Chu ka kelen ge was lomba de chu.
So for example, like 70% of our body is liquid. We know that.
Are you believe? Yes. More. Was more? Tendri ida ta tendri chu de la ya. Tambu chu tama de tenala chu kenyi luna. Ko pa kanga chu kanga zoba so le la wo yo was. Nganzu chu ro yin ba na.
지상추로.
시당 체이나.
기닐로나?
kenyi chiluna ko chadon ko chuchi me waso to ko was.
So like if there is a container water in a container, if you put a small piece of dirt on that, then that will pollute the whole water, right? Even though small dirt, small piece of dirt, but that will even in the big container, that will pollute the whole water, right?
근데 다 간주 고 단단 간주 샘단 리보니 땡단 바샤라요. 봐. 코니 파도 슉지 뭐 땡데래로.
So our body and mind are depending on each other very strongly.
다 시당 깬텐데 수벌라 나사 나와이나 샘기테 마르소 와나 아니 수보가 나사데 야 슉체래 영화다. 다 가서 나사데가 먼저 수벌라 마 톱거려서 봐.
And so when there is some kind of wound or scar on the body, right, and then mind adds on that, and says, oh, that's very painful, very bad, and then the body also feels like it's bigger, right? So when your mind thinks like that, then it creates even bigger.
아니 샘바지 그냥 본다고지 셔라지 내가 시면 맞나? 저단도 나다나 타고 다스 이메데 돕고 말더라.
So if you have a small cut, and then mind says, "Oh, this is very bad. I better do something. Otherwise, it may get infected. It might do this." So you might create a whole big thing, right? But other things, it doesn't matter. It's just a small cut. It will get better by itself. If your mind relaxes and things like that, then you will have a less worry, less suffering.
옛날에 나사 나준다 수번은 나 멤버 맞대 라고 말다. 삼못하는 디그스 라고 말더라.
But I'm not saying that you shouldn't care about the cut. Or,
Okay.
shouldn't see doctor.
Okay. This is example, if we have the toothache, when we talk some people, something exciting, we forgot, right? Yeah. This is we are experiencing, right? Then you go back to home, maybe some more relax, the pain come back. But pain is still there all the time, but because we mind doesn't, we call it, pay attention. Therefore, even the doctors say the two people have the same disease, exactly the same disease. The one person caring too much, one person doesn't carry much. Then kunya tat ya trayaga, karu jomu jodo tela sami chewa nusta science of lagos.
So and then there's a difference in the process of getting better. So somebody who thinks too much about it, takes longer to get better and to get cured, and somebody who doesn't care so much, gets better faster.
근데 이마다 나도 샘자데 싫어 왕 첨보 슉 첨보 이마다 다 가디나 즉 샘부도는 지수 따도나 아니 다 땐데 대화세 별려세 시대사 용토 그러지.
So therefore mind has a big part in that, and so it's very powerful, very influential, and so if you can tame the mind, then you can really achieve the everlasting happiness.
근데 다 빼자니 나라 거니 남아 버발 다 지난 내리 강에 용되었어. 내리 영화다 지난 단즈 머리바 되게 영화다 챘는데 챘니 다 되게 되버다 아슬랍되기로스.
And so all these sufferings that we experience is created by our own mind, especially the ignorance, right? And so therefore in this text, it says that whatever suffering, the experiences that you're going through is because of your own mind. Because of your self-cherishing attitude or self-grasping ignorance, and through that you did this, you did that, and therefore you're experiencing this now.
Okay, anyway, we just explain what called discussion a little bit about emptiness. But if you lack more interest, you have to study, thinking more. Also, don't experience the others. Buddhism doesn't believe anything exists, okay? Not like that. Everything that exists does not exist inherently, whatever we appears. Understand? It's different, right? Okay? Then what matters is exist or not, what's happened? What's benefit? Because for us, we follow our mind. Are you guys follow your mind? Or your body? We follow our mind. We follow our mind. Our mind follow delusions. The delusion is follow the ignorant, unknowing everything we call. That kind of.
And so because of not knowing the reality, then we face all these problems.
You know that in monastery they always debate with pot.
Pot.
Pot. Is pot is empty or not? Is what we call.
So about the pot, what is pot? Is it a permanent, impermanent?
No.
Yeah. Is it a cause? It is a result? All these things. So they debate a lot.
So it's what's matter is parts that is what we call permanent or not permanent, nothing matter, nothing depends for us, right? It's impermanent or permanent doesn't matter for us. But it's example. Because it is also not it's impermanent, same as ourselves. Then they then they may do I want to may do it. Then go to share and show going to pay.
So if you think of this cup, right, and permanent, right, and then when it breaks, say it broke, right. So when it breaks, then you will have more suffering, right. But if you have already understood that this is impermanent, yeah, it's nature. It's impermanent, so it can be broken. It broke, so it's okay. So it's easier to take it that way, right? And then also you can apply that, to just because it is impermanent. The reason why it's impermanent is because it can be broken. It can be broken. It's produced, and it can be broken. So it can be destroyed, and so forth. Therefore, it's impermanent. So just like that, and I am also impermanent, and I will die, and I will come into to end. And so when I die, then then I will not that means I will not come to end there. I'll continue to the next life. So in order to have a good life, I have to do this, and so that helps one to think about the impermanence and death and so forth. So that's why we debate on that, because through that you can understand your impermanence also.
Ngimane tadi yawana kangin thewana kangi ti ka nganzo kangi de donle shele la ushara tadi mena kangin theu kala nganzo ta shock te anu chagro.
And so if you have prepared yourself, and then it is easier to face the experience at that time. If you haven't prepared, then when it happens suddenly, then it becomes a big shock for you.
Right? This is a big problem with Westerns. Because you guys very we call organized, right? Just plan. Like here, then here, then here. Just you plan exactly. Then something wrong, then you because you're not plan. You're not plan to do. If something wrong, then you're not plan. Because you say, okay, tomorrow lunch is at 1 o'clock. This restaurant, that time. If something in the condition that doesn't happen, you say, I don't have plan. This doesn't work because you're not plan. This is a lot of people have experienced. For example, people go to the vacation. If you go to India, you count your money. Okay, I've spent this much money and this here, then here. Then when you come back home, you just count complete empty. You have nothing. Maybe you're not what we call. Even you have to take the taxi. You don't have money to pay. You just count, right? You have not planned far away. You just count here, 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 here. If something stuck here, maybe you lost your wallet. All right? Maybe something. Maybe you have to, spend maybe 2-3 more days. Then you have not enough money. Then you are very shocked. This is a lot happen in India. The Western go to India. They have very strong, very good organization. Okay, Dharamsala 2 days. Delhi 5 days. Right? Then I'm staying in Bangalore 2 days. Then you have something happen. Maybe go Dharamsala to Delhi. Maybe bus doesn't go. You have to stay 1 more day. You have not enough. This is a lot happening in India. One my friend, she met one, Western lady in Dharamsala. She said, how are you? Oh, I'm too bad. She just cried. What's going on? She said, I plan go to tomorrow Dharmarakshita, Delhi, but the bus doesn't go. No, I have not enough money because she has to stay one more day because she doesn't have plan. If you have plan, something happens, something wrong, it's no problem, right? Because you have some extra. This is especially you guys very organized, right? And then here also, sometimes I'm Tibetan, always change things. Right? You guys Western, you say no change, right? You have something before you start. You have all the what's a picture. You say, okay, do that. You have just exactly. If something doesn't go wrong, then you say, right? Usually we have not much plan, but what's happened just going on. Therefore, it's very good to have something more extra plans. Also, your mind think is maybe they change. If you don't, accept, you don't have any experience, they're going to change. Then you just stop there. You say, I spent many times, many hours, very hard work. Now they change this, right? Example, we put here some offering table here. You walk maybe a couple hours, spend. They say, okay, oh, this is not a good place. We have to move there. Then you outside, right? You say, I spent too many times, a lot of work. Now they have changed because you have not what we call plan. You just it is kind of tapping on,
Permanent.
permanent, right? You just think the permanent, not change. But this is because Buddhism says you're going to die. You have to prepare today. You don't know when you die. Therefore, you already prepared. It's happened. You already prepared, right? Then you got more or less problem, more or less what we call stressed. Therefore, especially the Westerns, like that, not prepared, not ready. Then something happened. Then they say, "Oh, what can I do?" Just like that. This happened. Are you too? Do you have this happen? Right? You guys really what time, what day. Everybody has a calendar. I'm very bad. Arms, right? If you have arm tomorrow, maybe that watch doesn't work. All right. Therefore, you always depends. You guys are really always what we call depends on others. That then governor.
Depend on others.
Right? Anyway, I have calendar that I usually I didn't follow or I forgot something, not used to, Sometimes people have to come say, oh, you have to do that, then I just remember. Sometimes also, Lord, I forgot. I have to go somewhere, I forgot. Then they call me, oh, so on because we're not very, what do you call, good organized. Not organized.
More spontaneous.
Yeah. But, yeah. I think this is, flexible. This is true, yeah. Yeah. That usually, for, I think Tibetan culture is very more flexible. They just something going up, down. But if you can learn the more flexible from the Tibetan culture, it's good. Then you don't like the late? You want to on time things gone?
Well, no. First, two things. You need to have a plan B.
Yeah.
You always have to have a plan B. But the other thing is,
Plan B?
you
Is it yes, first plan.
Chashis boss. Chashiniba.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, plan B is good.
your plan B. Okay, you know the plan B is right. Okay. But then also, if you say, like if somebody does that to you, like you say, I say, I'm going to come and meet you here, and then I don't come. And you say, well, she's not very considerate, she's not very,
Yeah. If your plan B is good.
Well, yeah, but you say, like you forget to go places.
Yeah.
You don't, it's not that, it seems like maybe that it's not that important, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh. So, okay.
So, what I'm saying is, like, if, like I just said, if I say I'm gonna meet you someplace,
Okay.
and I don't come,
Yeah.
and you're there, what do you think of me?
Well, then I get angry.
Yeah.
What's he doing? And then I say, what he got? Yeah, this is happened. This for me also not happen. I do like that. This is,
저랑 다 건너 사죠. 저랑 건너 사죠 말씀.
therefore, if you're really a more flexible person,
Yeah.
then you say, yeah, it's not that, it's okay. Just maybe some conditions, it happen all the time. Like maybe more.
So you should, you should try not to get angry, but then you think, oh, maybe something happened, because of that, because she's not able to come or something, and you can be just understanding. Instead of getting angry, and getting frustrated and making yourself unhappy, you can just, say maybe, oh, something happened, so that's okay. Doesn't matter. It happens. If you think like that, you'll be okay. And instead, if you say, oh, why she's not here, why she's not here, then you'll be unhappy, right? Yeah.
But usually good things, things go to on time. It's very good, right? But small things, I think we have to very good to more flexible. Maybe plan B is good. I think you guys are very flexible. More open mind. I believe all of you. Usually in this center also, this is the Western center, not Tibetan center. Tibetan cultural Western center is we call this. The Shiji Chuzor was. Nambegi Chu Shiji da Sojoji Chuzor was.
So, it's the Buddhist center run by Westerners, right?
Right. Therefore, the Westerners
Or run
very,
for the Westerners.
Westerners, just very, very strict. The Tibetans very loose. Right? But especially the children, just think they makes me also crazy. But all of here, you all have something, learning experience for Tibetan culture. Therefore, we fit together here, Western Tibetans. The Sacha Tenzin, you guys know, right? When he come here, we are Tibetans or Western both, he very surprised. He said, oh, it is very unusual, very, very good. He went to many different countries, many different centers. He never saw Western, Tibetan both together like this. He said, this is very, Sakya Tenzin. He's holding the Sakya Tenzin. He said, oh, it is very, very wonderful. It is very good. Otherwise, Westerns very strict, Tibetans very loose. They come here, the kids just leave. They don't care where they're going. I always complain that doesn't matter, just leaving. But all of you, more flexible. You learn, that their culture, like that. If you like their culture, then you mind doesn't care much. You know something that. If you don't know anything, you're just exactly your own culture, then you say, very shocked, what's going on, this guy, But we all here we get many people, Naoje.
Praise.
Praise for us. They say, wow, this center is a very useful center. It looks the Westerns, live here or come here, it looks very open mind, very flexible person. They really learn the Buddha, Buddha's teaching. Look for good things. Therefore, you guys also learn some, more loose, Like that anyway. Okay, now we talk too much, then our time's gone. Okay, like that, I think you guys most, senior students, let's explain to the emptiness. Okay? Okay, now we go to one verse, okay? Maybe I can read and maybe we explain next time. It's 58. Darwa, Sandro Chella, Tiju, Shitatu, Tunde Chella, Control, Sondro, Puja Tobingola, Chimsage, Danza Shimi, Maraya Athra.
So 58, right? It reads, although I have many new friendships, my modesty and friendships are friendships are of short duration. Although I freeload off of others, I eagerly pursue those who pilfer. So roar and thunder on the head of the destroyer of false construction, mortally strike at the heart of the butcher, the enemy ego.
That Ganzo me said that Tambo de Ganzo Channel and the pen, some girls. Tambo de Wa Sandro Chella, Tiju Shitatu said.
So say, although I have many new friendships, my modesty and friendships are of short duration.
Are you understand this? It's fit for our mind. It's true. I don't know that. Sandro Chella, that's all I was.
No,
That's all.
Sado said. Mare Sado said, Tobo Salvation.
That was Savati. Takaro. And Trosar, Sandro said, Toronto Chess at the Tak and Asachimbo is and
Sado the Mambo is.
Mambo Yeres.
Tobo Mambo, the General Hagmaris.
General Hagamaris. Yet to do
The Chung
Komacha.
said, Chung said that you don't do this. Chitan Chungs.
Yes. Yes.
I find the term modesty odd in that context. I'm having trouble how that links with friendship.
Tell you said, tell said, tell down Shung said, tell Shung, Chita Tung, Chita Chung said.
Tell that the Motasha Mars, Mother Tisha Martha.
Mother tell said,
Mother Tisha.
Mother tell said, tell it.
Ah, tell not
Oh,
Mother.
did and the Chungus, the dish that during your Mars to the Cadres.
Te Yomar Mother two men, any Tobo, Rimusha Degamares. Tobo Nyo in Banaya. Couldn't Tobo cook Mevasajana. Te the Patar of the Kumosa Mevanza, cook it Sigmaris.
So when we say that my modesty and friendships are of short duration, and so if you are not modest, and you always boast and you say, "Oh, I did this," and and then people will not be very happy with you, and so your friendship will maybe come to end very quickly, and so it's because of that you don't have modesty, and therefore your friendship will not last for a long time.
Mansutra, Shadam Mijimana, Suzo Trobo Tromoravena. Tachi Tambo Unibodena, that the Kasi Unibo dead was. Jitan Rodachina?
So the friendships, right? The good relationship, friendships, and we want to have it last as long as possible, right?
In a tang, Anzochi Takar, Esa Tawa in Bachi. And water tree Mewa Bachi, Co Karchan, something else. You shall was. Kondo Desmond.
So, but if we are, if we don't have that sense of modesty or embarrassment, so there's a difference between the modesty and embarrassment is one is because of other, one is because of oneself. So, feeling kind of, shy, right? Thinking, oh, what will other think? What will be of me? What will the other things? So, because of that reason, and there comes this modesty and embarrassment. And so, if you don't have that, then you just do anything you want, say anything you want, then people will not be happy with you, and you will not have that friendship lasting for a long time.
Tandela Shata, the Shata cheating on the Shini de Shaka. Shini de la Tambo, Tazi Yabo Chine again the Tegos on the Labios.
And so it's also referring here, the friendship here is referring to the spiritual friend or guru, right? In this case would be a guru, your teacher, so Dharma teacher. So anybody you take as your Dharma teacher, you have to be very careful about that. First, you have to really examine that person well, before you take that person as your Dharma teacher. And once you have taken, then you should stick to that all the time.
And that people so Namjung Mig something. Lama in Banaya, again, get a chimbo. Me chimbo in that day, can't Yamana, that shoe in the Kanga Jusha, the Jugulis.
So if there's a famous teacher, we just tend to run after, right? run after them, run to them, to receive teachings, to receive initiations, without even checking whether this person is, a guru for me or not, without even checking. We just run after them because of their name, because of their fame.
And then tell you say that no, can't just Susula chuna something and what the china Susula cool labja penguin, that's Susula Tata Gagan Sungus. Susula Mixi penguin get a chenning Koshala Takor Mapema was.
So whoever is most beneficial for you, right? Either financially or spiritually or things like that. So and financially here is referring to like a teacher in whose house you stay and and then study, and then he will provide you place to live, food to eat, and so forth, right? So that's like material aid. So the person who gives you the material aid like that, and then who gives you advice on top of that, right? So that person, if that is more beneficial for you, then that person you can take as a teacher. And if the person who is very famous, who has a big name, if he doesn't help your mind to become subdued, then that person is not a right teacher for you.
Kanje Tende Tamboji Tache Macho again over there, and this was Telano Tena.
And so you have to always check, so even if he's very famous and has a big name, you should still, listen to him and, see what he says makes sense or not, whether, his behavior, his, advice and all these things, does it fit, to your mind or not, does it move your mind and so forth. So if he does, then you can take that person as your teacher. Otherwise, just because of his fame and name, it's not correct to take the teachings and initiation from that person and as to consider that person as your teacher.
And the Tobo Tomorana, Pajo watching number Yabodo, Subuziwani, Sozo take Kubjuna, and Sozo Kupara was, Sozo the town to my good was.
And then also, when you want to be friend with somebody, right? You want to be friend with somebody, and says, oh, that person looks very good, right? He has a good body, he has a good look, therefore I want to be a good friend with him, right? And many people go that, after that, right? Oh, that person is so cool, so I want to be friend with him, like that, And but it will be foolish, to make friend with the kind of person, right, who doesn't get along with you. So it will be nice to make a friend with somebody who gets along with you, who has the same kind of view, same interest, and so forth, right? So then you will get along and you'll be happy. Yeah. So that is the kind of person you should make friendship with.
Tanganzo Tisam Mimaji, Telmatawachi, Shipabalata. Any lokaji chuchao pena lo singanyam de kangiro tensana then also was.
And then same with in the relationship, right? And you have to establish a relationship with somebody who has the same kind of view, same interest, right? You go out a few times and then see whether things go well or not, and not just because she's so beautiful so I want to be with her, or he's so handsome I want to be with him, not like that. So many people go after that, and then that's why. And they, couldn't last, like more than 2-3 years or 4-5 years.
Right? This more happen, right? Therefore, they doesn't think it before very carefully. They just look in all his skin or just shape. They say you have to think about the process of knowledge. Yeah,
somebody who has same mentality, same kind of interest,
idea.
Like you.
Then your relationship be more longer, right? Like that, okay? Then maybe I think we don't talk too much. Then also you that one example. You have to check that your teacher. One guy, Western guy, he heard that, he have to check that his teacher, and then he really check his teacher. There's some qualities. The teacher has to get up. Sleep late, get up early. Then he check. He sleep early. He really gone there. He check. Is he really sleep? Is he morning? He get up really early. He go to check. Is he really get up? You don't need to luck. You don't need to luck check like that. Today did go in. I shut down at that meeting. Namju Sheva Katan. And then so when you get there by na touch Karaki Chan and Rexer Sound to Tricha Maja, Kukala Karasa, Kawakuma Kawaja, Kadi Yang, Kadi Alang, Tau Marsro.
So the first thing is, first and most important thing is his teaching, right? So what he teaches, how he teaches, and all these things. So that's very important, And his compassion, love, and so forth, in general, how that is, and that is very important to check. And it's like what he's doing, what he's eating, when he's sleeping, when he's getting up. That's not really important.
Well, don't come to check me like that, okay? I'm obviously I'm joking. Okay, thank you. I think we stop here. You have any other questions? Okay.
Do all sentient beings go to the bardo between incarnations?
그리고 발도 명이 서로 발도 와도 발도 명.
갑도 깨는 데 여라. 냐월 깨는 데서.
발도 와도 발도 명.
레숙충무상에 대해서.
시천에 건강이 없어. 아니 발도 와라 발도 명 말. 발도 와라 발도 와서지.
발도 여라. 발도 시겨라.
발도 시가로. 발도 제막이 제와 당한 테마서. 제여.
So only intermediate state being, who no, there's more than X. No, just kidding. So a person a sentient being in the intermediate state is a sentient being, right? So there's no intermediate state of the intermediate state. There's no pardo, for the intermediate state being, but they die. Every week they die. So they die, and they can die up to 7 times. And then at the end they will definitely find. But before that, they may find, they may not find, right? So they die, and then they may not find the birth, and then they are born back into the intermediate state again. But there's no intermediate state in the in between, and after that, death. So anyway, this is just one of the debating answer. But otherwise, yeah, there is sometime when you create a very extreme karma. Extreme, negative karmas, strong negative karma, then you don't go through the intermediate stage, you go straight into the hell like that. So it depends, yeah.
Or the other way, too.
Yeah, or the other way also.
Other way.
Extreme good and extreme bad, so you can go straight there.
Okay?
For now, yeah.
Okay, for now. Now what's your then mantra?
Oh, I emailed that to you.
I didn't check. Do you remember what mantra?
One was this was Sean.
Yeah, this other what mantra?
It was White Torah.
Okay.
And Nam Dharma mantra.
Then? Oh, it's okay, yeah. Okay, there's some mantra request for you to recite 81. Then a long lap prayer for the Shuddharambachi. Yeah. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, he told me. And he asked me to, can you give the what called transmission? But we don't know what mantras also. Then White Tara is Tari Tudari Turi Mama Ayar Pinanjana Pudon Kurisu. Okay? Everybody repeat with me, okay? Tari Tudari Turi Mama Ayar Puni Jana Pudum Kuri Sua Tari Tudari Turi Mama Ayar Puni Jana Pudrum Kuri Sua Tari Tudari Turi Mama Ayar Puni Jana Pudrum Kuri Sua Drum Sua Karo Ayar Amrita Ayar Dadi Sua Karo Drum Sua Amrita No, I forgot. Drum Sua Amrita Drum Sua Karo Amrita Ayudade Sua. This is Namja mantra. Drum Sua. Karo. Drum Sua Amrita. Drum Sua Amrita Ayudade Sua. Drum Sua Amrita Ayudade. Yeah. I will do maybe next time. It's not very clean. This This is the Namjama short mantra. Yeah, long life deities. Okay, Namjama is there, the many heads. The other one's White Tara. White Tara is the long life deity. Then if you can recite for long life prayer for the Chuden Rinpoche. I don't know. Chuden Rinpoche. Chuden Rinpoche. Chuden Rinpoche. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's right here. He comes oftentimes here. Yeah. Okay? Okay, thank you everybody. Have a good night. Oh, we're not finished, right?
Page 39. Ground perfume anointed flowers strewn through forests, sun and moon adorned, seen as Buddha, field and offered. Thus may all sentient beings enjoy pure lands. Jesu Lame, Kuseratan, Chingam Katrin Lay, Chokchurge Lo Sam Tenley, Drun Me Sasum, Gidro Wemun Sel, Datu Negyorji, Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. From my two collections, vast as space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds, wisdom, eyes blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my heart's wondrously. May I find the best to complete the great teachings. May I please all the Buddhas by practicing, using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion. May I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings, with the points of the path if I have discerned them. May I uphold Buddhist teachings for a very long time, with my heart going out with great compassion in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, once have spread and defined. May I reveal the treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted bounteous peace, and the Buddhist deeds be nourished for a long time. Even this great course to enlightenment completed, due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their children, may all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and make things conducive for practicing the excellent paths never be parted in any of their lives from the great responsibilities by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes an effort to act in accordance with the tenfold mind of virtuous practices, may they always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere. In that snow mountain encircled land, source Page 49, Short Long Life Prayer for Lama Zopa Rinpoche. You who uphold the Sadhguru's moral way, who serve as the bountiful prayer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjuna's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplishes magnificent prayer, honoring the three jewels. Savior, myself, and others, your disciples, please, please live long. Page 57, Prayers of Dedication. Through this virtue may I swiftly, having gained Guru Buddha state, place each and every sentient being without exception in that state. Precious supreme Bodhi mind, may it where unborn arise, and where born never decline, but increase forevermore. Migsma on page 75. May say way Chen Chen raising dream yen pei wang po jam pei gan chen kei pei su bien song kappa lo sang dra pei jabla so adel.
Hello everyone. Quick first announcement. It's a late breaking. Too much. For this Friday, since this is the last day of Sakadawa, we're going to have a Sangata Sutra recitation. I'll send out a newsletter tonight. If anyone can stop by Friday, it'll be from 6 p.m. until probably 9 p.m. It's it's shorter than the Golden Light Sutra, but it's a wonderful one to recite. So stop by. We'll be here. Then let's see what's the next one. The next one is on July 6th. We're celebrating His Holiness's birthday. After Sunday class, we'll have a potluck, and then we will be reciting the chapters that Geshe will select for us from Shantideva's Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. Then July 11 and 12, we have Ngawang here. He's going to have a concert on the Friday the 7th, Friday 11th from 7 to 9, and a teaching on the Saturday from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the evening. That same Saturday we have Family Day. Everyone welcome, and just ask if you're going to attend to just please email her. There's a link on the newsletter. Last is two more things. We've got Nick Ribush teaching at Milarepa Center for 4 days. It's kind of what they say, it's Copan, Vermont. And it's July 16 till the 20th. And then the last one, Reiki 1, again by Pat. It's not yet the Reiki 2 class, it's the Reiki 1 class, July 19th and 20th. Again, sign up is on the newsletter. And just stop me in the hallway if you're not getting the newsletter. Thanks, and thanks very much, Geshe.